turn, face the clerk, just raise your right hand, face the clerk.
I'm sorry.
Like
Uniforms do that.
you've already cleared security like everybody else here, so you're good. We want to put you under oath like every other witness.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in the cause now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
All right, please have a seat on the witness stand.
Actually, if you would, thank you. I'm probably going to need it somewhere in here.
All right, so first of all, would you state your name?
Franklin Tyrone Tucker.
All right, so as you all know, Mr. Tucker's acting as his own attorney. So in this particular direct examination, he is being allowed to testify in narrative form. Rather than asking himself questions and then giving an answer, he's just going to testify as a narrative. So you can proceed.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little weird. Not exactly expected, guys. I'm sorry about that. But I guess we're going to start. I think the best place probably to start is probably around Hurricane Irma. That would probably be the best way to go. I had been in Key West for, I don't know, a while. Probably a couple of years. Been working on boats. Originally, before this storm happened, I got myself a boat. Actually, I had 3 at one point. But, doing the idea was to, sail the Caribbean, eventually island hop my way down to Venezuela and then go to, South America, go up the mouth of the Amazon. Didn't happen. Obviously Irma did a lot of damage. I mean, I'm sure some of you were here and remember. But the thing is I didn't evacuate when that happened. And eventually, just prior to this incident happening, I was working doing hurricane cleanup. There wasn't very many of us here. A lot of people had evacuated, so there wasn't too many people here to do that kind of work. Not that it was my normal thing, but yeah, I mean, I was getting paid pretty good money, to be honest. It was, they had some of the more wealthy neighborhoods that were up in the Big Pine area. They had people who wanted their roofs blue tarped. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but they wanted their roofs blue tarped, and they were paying me $300 an hour to get up there. And at the time, I mean, I was like, $300 an hour, I'm up there, no problem, So, I did some of that, and I also did hurricane, debris, getting rid of debris and chopping up, cutting up logs or whatever, trees that had fallen. I do remember finding an airplane cockpit in somebody's backyard in Big Pine, and there's no airport near there, so. Anyway, but that's what I was doing for money at the time. And I was getting paid cash. So, like I said, $300 an hour. And, sometimes I'd do, 4 or 5 roofs in a day sometimes. So, that's pretty good money for that time, right? And, yes, I did stay at cots at, certain points, just because, like many people at that time, didn't have it. A lot of us, if you want to say homeless, I guess that is the word. But the thing is a lot of people were homeless at that point. A lot of people lost their boats. A lot of people lost their houses, lost their homes. I wasn't exactly special that way. But I was working the whole time, and I was making good money. And my whole plan was to buy another boat, and again resume my plan to sail off into the Caribbean. And this, this is a personal note, I guess, because of the time. Most people don't know I have a 14-year-old. I had a 14-year-old son at the time that I raised myself. I was a single dad, and I raised him up till he was.
Judge to the relevance.
Okay.
Well, because he was supposed to come live with me. That's the only.
I'm sorry, Mr.
story.
You wanted to complete your thought there? If it's connected, go ahead.
No, it's just part of the story because he was actually supposed to. He was supposed to be coming to live with me in about 2 months before, when this happened.
Okay.
Right after this happened, I had about 2 months, and he was supposed to come live with me. So it is kind of part of the story. You can see my mentality at the time. But the thing is okay. So anyway, that didn't happen, obviously. So as far as the warehouse, right? The warehouse, I remember it from the storm because yes, I did stay there during the storm, and it was a big steel building. It was on cinder blocks, so I mean, okay. It seemed like a good place to ride out the storm, and the only thing I was worried about was the roof getting blown off. So, I stayed there for, I don't know, maybe a week. I don't know, something like that. I can't remember exactly. But, and I know it's come out before that April Walker, Rory Wilson's girlfriend, did not like me. And I didn't stay there because of that. It's like, and not only that, they were having, between Rory and April, they had domestics that, I remember the cops coming out 3 times in one night when I was there. And I'm like, okay, this is not someplace I want to be, right? So I didn't stay there. I went, I was staying at Cots again, right? And when I was staying at Cots, it was okay. I don't necessarily like staying there, but I was saving up money. That's basically it, saving up money, getting a new boat. Anyway, so, somewheres along the lines, and I don't remember exactly when this was, but, I know Mr. Johnson testified that, we met after he got out of jail. No, I was actually at work when he went to jail, and I remember very well when he went to jail because we knew each other prior to that. How, he actually knows how I ended up at the warehouse. The way I ended up there is I had a friend, CJ and Michelle, who lived, they were living in the same, I guess they, you guys know conch houses, I guess is what they call them down here. But it wasn't really a conch house because it's a warehouse, and they had built apartments in there that I guess weren't really legal, but they were renting out rooms but sharing a bathroom and a kitchen and a dining room, right? And there's multiple roommates that are up there. So I don't even remember how many people live there. There's a bunch of people who live there. But anyway, Roy Wilson and his girlfriend had the apartment downstairs. They actually had an apartment to themselves, and then there were people upstairs who lived in the apartments upstairs, or the rooms upstairs, I should say. One of them was brought up before a guy named David Gross, right? They like to call him the White Detroit in this whole story. But yes, he lived upstairs, and my friends CJ and Michelle had one of these rooms up there. And Michelle, she was the manager at Burger King. She was actually a manager at Burger King. I forget what CJ did, but the thing is okay, CJ somewhere along the lines gets into an altercation with David Gross and punches him in the nose, right? And again, David goes ahead and gets a restraining order against CJ. Now, I just happened to show up the day that, the police are escorting CJ and Michelle out of there because of this restraining order, right? And as they're going out, they're going to a hotel. That's where they're going to go, and they can't take all their belongings with them, right? Can't take everything with them. So they asked me. They were like, "Okay, well, would you stay here and watch our stuff? Make sure nobody messes with it. Make sure nobody steals it. That kind of stuff. Stay here, while until we can come back and get our stuff, right?" And I was like, at first I was like, okay, well, I've got to be at work in a few days, but yeah, I can watch it for you, and so I do. And I go and I stay in CJ and Michelle's room. And, I did come into contact with a few of these people, it's like, again, Travis was one of them. I didn't know him very well. As far as I knew, he came down from Michigan with a guy named Scott Gideon. That's the one I asked about. Or no, sorry, Matthew Gideon is his name. They called him Matty. But anyway, he had come down from Michigan with this guy. And, they were okay. I didn't really think anything of them. But, but they were okay. And, I don't remember exactly how long I was there before this incident happened. But this is how I end up, in this thing. Because, okay, like I said, I don't remember exactly the time frame here. But I do remember some of the people that were around at the time. I do remember Travis was there. I know Matthew had already left, and I think Matthew went to the beach, if I'm correct. But again, Mr. Johnson ended up with his medications. So, that's a whole different story. But the thing is I'm trying to remember now. It's like, you got to remember, this is around Fantasy Fest time, when this happens, right? Because, okay, it happens on November 17th, right? And Fantasy Fest, that year was on Halloween, the 31st, right? Now I know just my own phone records that I looked at recently when I was looking at it for this case, right? I had 2 phone calls with John Travis Johnson, right? And they're from the 28th of October, right? So I must have met him somewheres in that time period, right? And I know that year for Fantasy Fest, I don't remember what the theme was. Don't remember what the theme was, but I know that the parade was on Halloween night, and I know it was at the Green Parrot that night, right? And I hung out there quite a bit. My friend, longtime friend, runs the place. I don't know if any of y'all know Jim Possum, but yeah, he runs the place. And so I still have quite a few friends. I've been coming here since I was 13, and been, I guess they call it a Key West rubber band is what they call me. It's like I'll move away, I come back, I move away, I come back. My daughter was even born here, right? So anyway, to keep on going here, Fantasy Fest happens, and I'm hanging out with a friend of mine named Ben, and we're hanging out on what we call the party bench. It's right outside the little deli that's right there down on the corner. And he has a dog, can't take him in the bar, so we're hanging out on the bench. And some girls come by, and they wanted to paint up our faces, and of course we let them, right? I mean, it's like, okay, why not, right? So they go ahead and paint up our faces and all that. And, then they're like, okay, well, can you pose for us, look scary, that kind of thing. Okay, so we do, both of us, right? So there's a picture of both of us like this. But anyway, so fast forward. We go down to the point where all this has happened. And again, Fantasy Fest, I mean, look, I have a tendency to drink more when I come to Key West than any place else I ever live. It's like, especially when I was on the boatyard and working on boats and stuff like that, because I did do quite a bit of that. I actually did a restoration project on a big Hatteras yacht at one point. But, so yeah, I have a tendency to drink more when I'm down here. And this one day, and this is about the best I could recollect, is, I remember that day I was drinking Fireball with Travis, right? So I know I had been drinking that day. And I know I went into the bedroom, which is, again, CJ and Michelle's room. And I know, so this is during the time period where I'm watching it for them. So I remember that. And I don't remember much else about the day, except I do remember at one point, it's got to be later on in the evening, and I wake up and I'm out of cigarettes, right? And I wake up and I get, and Travis is actually there, right? So I go and I walk to Tom Thumb, to get cigarettes, and I go over there to get cigarettes, and I come back, and when we were up at Tom Thumb, right? I remember looking, and I'm like, I could look up, okay, there's the fire stations right there, and then you can see Laurel Avenue, where this happened, right? You can see Laurel Avenue from there. And I could see the cop lights up there, right? I could see a bunch of cop lights up there. And I remember saying to Travis, I was like, man, I wonder what happened up there, right? And it's like, and the thing is again, I'm not in dark clothing. I am in shorts. I am wearing sandals. I am wearing, normal people clothes, right? I guess I should say normal for Key West, right? But anyway, yes, and Mr. Mansfield alluded to this. I did have a nice big long goatee, and I had, Lord knows I have tattoos when I take off my suit. But the bottom line is I planned on living on boats, and I guess I was living that lifestyle. It's like, I planned on sailing off into the sunset, and just enjoying my life and kind of traveling, so I kind of look like a little savage. I'm not going to say I didn't, it's like, us boat people, we kind of had have a style, I guess. I don't know what it is. And, and yeah, it's kind of a freer way of living, I guess. Anyway, but beside the point. So getting back to that night, I remember looking up down Laurel Avenue and seeing the lights, right? By the time we got back, right, so it's not a very far walk from Tom Thumb to the warehouse. But by the time we got back there were cop cars everywhere. I mean, I'd never seen anything like that on Stock Island, right? I mean, literally, you had the FWC, Border Patrol, there's police everywhere, and they're going everywhere, right? And, there's police sirens everywhere. And I remember, we went back inside, and I think Travis did buy like a 12-pack of beer or something like that, right? And we go back inside, and I remember you could see, again, there's a bunch of these cop cars that went down into what they call it Little Haiti there, right? It's a bunch of trailers, and and yes, it's before you get to the Hogfish, right? That road there. And I remember there's a bunch of cop cars that, man, you're going down into that neighborhood, right? And I'm like, damn, I wonder what those guys did. I'm like, I mean, whatever it is, they want them bad, So, and I think I said that to Travis. I'm not sure. Oh, and by the way, when we got back, that was the other thing. Big Scott was waiting for us when we got back. I remember that too, because okay, I know Travis. He testified that he had the key to the door. Him and Rory Wilson were the only ones with the keys to the door, right? So, Big Scott was waiting outside for us, right? And because he couldn't get inside, right? He couldn't get in the door, right? So anyway, so we go upstairs, and and when I saw all that stuff out the window, you got to remember I'm still a little bit lit. I managed to walk my butt down to the thumb, but I wasn't going much farther than that. So anyway, so I go from there. Let's see, I go from there, and I remember Big Scott and Travis were going to go, and they were going to go hang out on the front porch downstairs and watch the cop cars go by, just see what was up. They're going to drink beer on the porch and watch the cop cars. I'm like, okay, I'm going back to bed, because I was like, I'm not, I'm still not good, right? So I went back in, and I passed out and in the bed, right? And was it CJ and Michelle's room, right? So I passed out in there, and from what I understand, again, I can't, I can't really, say, except for I've seen it on video now. I mean, I've seen it on video as far as some of this stuff. But while I was upstairs and I'm passed out in there, this is where, okay, to clarify, when I went to go get cigarettes at Tom Thumb, right, it has to be sometime after the Florida Keys Electric video that you see there, right? It has to be sometime after that. I don't know when, but unfortunately, that's all we have for video. So I don't know. I just know that it had to be sometime after that, because, like I said, Travis was already there. So it's like, okay, I know it has to be there, right? So anyway, so I don't know exactly what time. I couldn't tell you exactly what time. I do know that yes, it would have been helpful if we had the video from Tom Thumb.
Judge, can I interject? Can we come sidebar?
Oh, okay, yeah. So, okay. So we'll resume with the direct examination testimony.
So okay, back to where we are with the story. So again, I'm passed out in the bed, and somewheres along the lines, again, the police show up at the house is because, okay, this was told to me by Travis and Big Scott.
Objection to hearsay.
Okay.
We'll sustain the objection.
Okay. Well, I get woke up along the lines somewheres along the night, and I don't remember when, but I remember, man, I get woken up in the middle of the night, and because when they went downstairs to go and check this out, right? I remember telling them, I was like, I'm going to go sleep, man. I'm like, yeah, tell me what happened later, just tell me what happened, because I mean, it is kind of a big deal, So anyway, so I go pass out, and somewheres along the night, I wake up, man, and Rory Wilson is there, and Travis is there, and Big Scott's there, and I mean, we're drinking, and yeah, smoking some weed, I mean, and as far as As far as crack, I don't remember, man, the crack thing. Not too much of it anyway. I mean, I vaguely remember some of it. But the thing is because I say that because I seem to remember somebody having the crack and somebody smoking it, but man, I don't remember. I do, again, at this point, I'm resuming drinking and I am smoking weed at this time, right? So I'm not, again, I'm refogging my brain at this point. So anyway, after that, let's see, because okay, like I said, again, I had a tendency around Fantasy Fest. It was usually a couple weeks worth of partying, man, during Fantasy Fest is usually what it was for me, But I don't remember much, man, as far as the next day. I don't really remember too much as far as that went. I do remember, okay, this is one thing I do remember. Because again, it starts, it's been many years and I can't really tell you guys, man, exactly, because it has been years and I'm trying to, my best to remember here. But I do remember there's a point that comes in there where we have two detectives that show up at the door, right? And they come to the front door. And I open the door for them. I literally open the door for them. And I know now who they are. I mean, I'm sure they introduced themselves at the time. I just don't remember them introducing themselves. But it was Detective Smith and Detective Fernandez, right? And now, don't get me wrong. I knew they were detectives because they're not wearing uniforms and they've got their badge on their belt, right? So the thing is okay. So I know they're detectives, right? And they start asking me questions about Rory Wilson, right? And I know Rory. I mean, I don't know. Again, it's not like we hang out all the time. It's not like I know him. I know him that well, right? But I know him, right? And but they're asking me questions like, okay, they're asking me, is he a drug dealer? They're asking me stuff like that, right? And I'm like, well, not that I know of. I know he has a job. I mean, I know he has a pregnant girlfriend. I know that. But they're asking me a bunch of different questions, right? And I actually even gave him, Rory's phone number. I was like, if you want to contact him, here, I'll give you his number, right? And I remember Rory after that, man. It's like, sorry, weird, but he texts me right after they leave, and because I also told him that Rory's door is around the other side of the building, right? It's actually on the back side of the building. He has like a front door that's all his own, right? And I told him about that, and it's like, so anyway. Again, it's a little fuzzy here, but I do remember Rory texting me not long after they left, right? And he's like, cops.
Objection to hearsay.
I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. Well, anyway, so I do remember, telling Rory I go to him because they left me a card, right? And I go knock on his door and I give him the card, right? And I said, look, man, these aren't uniformed officers. These are detectives, man. I'm like, and they were asking me some questions about you, and you might want to give them a call. You know what I mean? So anyway, so that's what I tell them, and I give them the card, right? And after that, let's see. I'm trying to remember anything important after that, because okay, after that I don't remember too much. Oh, because it wasn't too long after that where they come in and they do this raid. But okay, prior to the raid, I remember this. It's Thanksgiving time, right? So it's around Thanksgiving, right? And I remember DeLuna's had like a Thanksgiving dinner, like a free Thanksgiving dinner or something like that, right? And I like DeLuna's, and so I went over there for that. And I think this would be the 21st. I would have to say it's the 21st because actually, I know it's the 21st now. Okay, so it's the 21st, right? And I go and I was a little sketched out by the detective showing up there, because look, the warehouse, like I said, Rory Wilson, and April had cops come there many times, right? And look, it's only a matter of time before you're going to get caught up in something, right? So I didn't want to stay there very long, and I actually told CJ and Michelle this, right? I'm like, I'm trying to be a friend here, but at the same time, I'm not trying to hang out here too long, right? And so anyway, so I remember, the raid at the warehouse. That's what Travis called it. I don't know what you actually call it, but that night, okay, I went to DeLuna's, went and did the whole dinner thing, and this is when I first heard about what had happened up at the Treehouse, right? I hear through a friend of mine, Janice. We were having dinner that night, at the DeLuna's thing, and she told me that.
Objection to hearsay.
Oh, okay. I was
Sustain the
informed.
objection in terms of the details.
I was informed that somebody got stabbed in the parking lot up at CVS. That's what I was informed of, right? And so that was my first, hearing of this. Anyway, but that same night is when this thing happens, as far as the whole raid thing. And I'm telling you, it's the stupidest thing I ever did, man, in this whole thing. Because, okay, they come in, and I'm upstairs, and I'm literally in CJ and Michelle's room, and I had a laptop, kind of like I do now, but I had a laptop, and I was watching TV on the laptop, right? And I was just getting ready, watching, another show. And when they came in, the way that place was laid out, they had because it was an old warehouse, right? So they had, the one I was in, you could literally see to downstairs, right? It had like a plexiglass window that went across one of the walls. I imagine it was like an old supervisor, like an old supervisor office or something. But you could look down and you could actually see right downstairs, right? And I hear a bunch of commotion down there. And I look down, from the plexiglass, the window, and I could see the cops banging on the door, right? They're actually, because, okay, it's two separate, Lori's got his in the back. There's this big storage room. And then there's like the stairs that go up to the other, I don't want to say apartments, but the other rooms where people were renting, right? And so they're banging on the door, right? And they've got a battering ram. There's boom, boom. And then I see they've got ski masks on. They've got assault rifles. There's smoke. I mean, literally, I look down there and I'm just like, oh my God, right? And so anyway, do the dumbest thing that you could possibly ever do. I go out of CJ and Michelle's room, and I come walking down the stairs with my hands up, looking like an idiot, because I'm sitting there going, I'll open the door, just don't shoot. Like they can see me. It's like, so as soon as I open the door, the next thing you know, I've got an assault rifle in my nose, right? And they're leading me out. And, literally I'm like whipped around, handcuffs on, and taken out to a squad car, right? And it's like, and I remember, and one thing I didn't like is I remember as I was going by, seeing Rory Wilson's girlfriend on her stomach. Now, look, April and I didn't like each other, that's true. But she was 8 months pregnant, and seeing her on her belly on the ground did not make me happy. But they take me out to the squad car, and I have no idea what's going on. I'm literally sitting out, do you guys have a warrant? Am I being detained? Am I arrested? The whole thing. I have no idea why I'm being taken out to the squad car, or why even any of this is happening, right? But based on what the detectives told me that had showed up there a few days earlier, I guess, based on what they told me, I thought it was over drugs. I thought maybe, they were there for drugs or something, I didn't know. But I just know that, man, they came in, they're coming in like that. They've got a reason, if they're coming in like that. And, so I'm way confused at this point. I have no idea what's going on. And I'm sitting in the back of the squad car, and they left me out there for a while, and I'm still, I have no idea. And eventually somebody got in the driver's seat. I don't remember who it was, but somebody gets in the driver's seat, and I'm literally I'm asking them a bunch of questions. I'm like, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And so, eventually they tell me they want to take me down to the station. And I'm like, well, look, I don't have a shirt on. I don't have shoes on. I don't even know what this is over. I'm like, am I being arrested? Any of that stuff, right? And no, it ends up, it actually is Detective Pitcher. He goes and he gets me a shirt. It's like a camouflage shirt, but he gets it from David Gross's room, right? And he brings it down, so I at least have a shirt on, right? And so they take me down to the station, right? And when they take me down the station, I'm trying, this again, this is, it's pretty traumatic. I'm not gonna say it's not. It's pretty traumatic when that kind of stuff happens. But anyway, not that I've been through it, I've been through it a bunch of times, but I just, like I said, I'm lucky I didn't get shot going down the stairs. Anyway, so bottom line is they take me into the station. And when they take me in the station, let's see, I don't remember who it was that brought me in. I know they bring me in and they put me in an interrogation room, right? And when they first start talking to me, I'm like, again, I'm wondering why I'm here.
I'm objecting to his testifying to his statements made back then.
I just said I was wondering why. I'm telling you my thought, you know.
I understand, but in terms of the statements that you made at that time, I would sustain the objection.
Are you talking about what I would tell the police?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I'll leave that out then. I'm sorry, I didn't understand. I'll leave that part of the story out. Anyway, so I go into the interrogation room, and at first, you know, they're questioning me, and I'm thinking at the time, I'm like thinking, okay, remember I said I thought it was over drugs, right? So, and you know, they're asking me these questions, and you know, first that's what I thought they were, again, they're asking me because they want to know information, right? So, but then it comes around to the murder, somewhere's in there, right? And they start asking me questions about it. And again, I'm thinking, okay, they asked me what I knew about it, that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, I don't want to testify to what they asked me. But, you know, but at the time I remember thinking, you know, they just wanted information from me, right? They just want to know what I know, what I've heard, you know, that kind of thing. But somewhere's along the lines in there, and, you know, it became very clear they thought I had something to do with this, right? And, you know, I remember, wait a second, because I'm forgetting about a part here. They take me out of the interrogation room at some point, and they take me down, they put me in a squad car, right? And I'm still in handcuffs, right? So I'm still in handcuffs, but they put me in the squad car, and they leave me down in the squad car for, I don't know how long, it had to be like an hour, I have no idea, you know, but I was in the squad car. And then they bring me back up, and they ask me a bunch more questions, right? And, you know, like I said, now it's, I'm getting this feeling, I'm like, okay, wait a second. You know, they're not asking me because they think, because they just want information. They think I had something to do with this thing, right? And, yeah, at the time I remember, you know, that they went to that direction. And, you know, again, I'm very adamant. I get very adamant once I realize this. I'm like, oh, no, you know. But, yeah, so I don't know if I can testify to what I said, but I remember, you know, saying it to them. I was like,
Objection to what he said.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, and I won't say what I said then. But I will say this, I was very adamant about, you know, not having anything to do with it. So eventually it gets down to the point where I've been interrogated all night over this thing. And it got to a point, I mean, you know, I was like, look, you know, I'm like, you know, are you going to arrest me? You know, are you actually going to arrest me? Or, you know, am I free to go? Can I get, you know, look, I'm tired of being here. I'm tired of saying the same, man, you know, giving these answers. You know, can I go home, or are you going to arrest me for this thing? And they let me go, right? And not only did they let me go, the bad part about that is they made me walk home. And I remember the directive was to, check out the cameras, how many cameras there are, right? And, and they did give me, I'll give them this, they gave me slides, because remember I told you I didn't have any shoes. They gave me slides, right? The stuff they use in jail, the slides, right? Kind of like flip-flops. Anyway, so they give me those and send me on my way. So now I got to walk all the way home, which, you know, okay, it's a little distance, you know. And so I walked there, and I probably got there, I don't know, I probably got there like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. It was early in the morning, and I've been there all night, right? And when I get there, you know, the door is locked, and as we've said, you know, I didn't have a key, right? So, but my stuff is still in there. Now I'm freaked out. I gotta tell you, I'm freaked out, you know, because okay, when they, you know, again, that I've never had that happen, right? So I'm freaked out about the thing, and when, you know, I get there, the door's locked, and I remember I had to throw rocks up at the windows to finally get Travis to come down and open the door, right? So he comes down, he opens up the door, and I tell him what happened. You know, I was like, I just tell him what happened to me. I was like, I can't believe it, you know, I can't believe they took me down there, blah, 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 you know, this, that, and that, right? So anyway, but I don't want to stay there. I don't want to stay there. I'm like, okay, this is way more than I want, right? So I get my stuff together, and I literally grab all my stuff, and I tell CJ Michelle, I called up CJ Michelle, and I was like, look, it's all good, you know, you guys, man, but I can't stay here. You know what I'm saying? I can't stay here anymore. And I remember them asking me if I would at least grab, like, they had family photos and pictures of kids and stuff like that. And they asked me if I would grab that and take it down to Burger King and drop it off there, right? I was like, yes, I can at least do that for you, you know? So I grabbed a bunch of the pictures, man, from their room, and I tried to grab, you know, anything, you know, that could be of value or sentimental value to them, right? Because now I'm leaving, and I'm not, you know, I'm not staying there. And so, yeah, I grab all that, I put it into a bag for them, and I grab my stuff, and I head on out, and I go ahead. And this is, I don't know, it's I don't remember what time of day it is. I know it's morning, you know. I mean, like I said, I got there probably like 5, 6 o'clock, so I don't remember how long it took them to open the door or anything like that. But I did grab, you know, some stuff, dropped it off at Burger King, and I do remember I called 2 people that day. I called my friend Cliff, and I called my, one of my brothers, Jeff. You know, he's not blood-related brother, but he is my brother in every sense. But yes, so I go ahead and I call them because I'm freaked out, right? Because I knew when they let me go, I knew that, okay, they let me go, but I got the distinct impression that, man, you know, no, they thought I had something to do with this, and they were, you know, this was not going to be the last time that, you know, they talked to me about this. And you know, I was scared. I'm going to tell you, I mean, straight up, I was scared. You know, I didn't know what was going on, and I was like, and you know, I can't explain to anybody, you know, the feeling, but I was scared. So that's why I called them up, because I was looking. I was like, look, man, everything in, I mean, everything.
Objection to what he was telling these people?
Oh, I'm talking about my head.
All right.
But anyway, in my mind at that point, yeah, I mean, everything was telling me, man, it's like, you need to get out of here, right? I mean, these people, man, you know, they think you had something to do with this, and but then, you know, the other side of me is going, if I take off, they're going to think I did it, you know. So I mean, I have this little war going on in my head, and anyway, so I went from Burger King and I started walking down towards Key West, right? You know, because there's that little bridge and, you know, park and stuff there. And I remember as I came across the bridge, there was a couple guys there, and they're drinking off of, man, they're drinking off of a liter of Skull or whatever, you know, it's the rot gut vodka. And at that point, I was like, yeah, I need one. I was like, you know, you might, you know. So I sat there with them, took a couple hits off that, and I eventually end up down at McDonald's, right? And when I get down to McDonald's, and I'm still sketched out. I'm sketched out about the whole thing. And I don't know what to do, to be honest. I just don't know what to do. It's like, man, it's like I've never found myself in this position before. I don't know what to do. So anyway, so I get on, you know, because I went to McDonald's because they have free Wi-Fi there, right? So I could get on my laptop, because I always had a laptop in my backpack, right? So, you know, I get on my laptop, and I'm not even sure what I'm doing, to be honest. I really wasn't sure on what I was doing at that point. I didn't know. So anyway, but that's when Paula shows up. And Paula and I, you know, we weren't friends, right? But we knew each other. It's like, it's one of those things, you know, small island, and, you know, and we know who lives in the neighborhood. We know who lives on the island. You know, it's like you run into each other. Hey, you know, how you doing? How's it going? You know, that kind of thing. But I don't know that much about her. You know what I mean? You know, so anyway, so I run into Paula, and I remember, because I was feeling so bad and so sorry for myself for, man, being interrogated, you know, for overnight, you know, being interrogated for this thing all night, and I'm scared, and I'm feeling sorry for myself, I guess, right? And I remember seeing Paula, and she had a bandage on her neck from the night, right? And I remember seeing her, and I was just like, and all of a sudden I felt like I'm not trying to curse, I guess, but I felt really bad, right? Because I was like, here I am feeling sorry for myself, and then I see her, right? And she's bruised up, and she has the thing on her neck, and it's like, and when, you know, and I told her what happened to me. I told her that they took me down to the station. I told her, you know, what happened, and the thing is Paula. You know, Paula, yes, she did cry, and yes, she did, you know, cry on my shoulder, and, you know, and I told you I felt horrible, because it was just like, it's like, again, here I am feeling bad because they grilled me all night, and then I saw and heard from her experience, right? And no, I just felt bad about it. It's like, okay, you know, here I am again. I guess it's the somebody always has something worse thing, you know. There's always
Objection to the self-serving statements, Judge.
All right. I'll overrule the objection. You
Thank
can
you, Your Honor.
continue.
Anyway, so it was definitely, again, while I was still not certain about what was going to happen here, but it definitely put me in a different mindset to see her, right? And but anyway, so after I saw her, I remember I went back to COTS because now I'm going to COTS and I'm not going back to the warehouse. I don't want nothing to do with it, right? So I go back to COTS and they had again another little Thanksgiving dinner thing there, and I had some of that, whatever. And then I went into where the bunk is, and this is when I get arrested, right? And when I got arrested, because Detective Pitcher was one of the ones who talked to me when they were doing their interviews, and I remember him leading the charge. But there was a good amount of officers, and they were coming in from both sides, and I remember looking up at him, and I was like, I guess we're not talking now, are we? And he's like, no. And so anyway, so they arrest me, and they take me over to the jail, right? And and the whole time I'm kind of flipping, and I'm like, literally, like, I'm like telling them I didn't have anything to do with this, and and so I'm telling them this stuff, and somewhere along the lines I get told that it's about witness tampering, right? And I'm like, and I thought it was over Paula. I thought it was because I talked to her at McDonald's. And I was like, nobody told me I couldn't talk to her, right? But that's not what it ends up being about, and I won't testify as to what it was because I think that would Mr. Mansfield probably object to it. But at the same time, so so I'm thinking, again, and my head is spinning again. And okay, so now I'm in jail, and they take me, and they literally, okay, the jail has the elevator goes up. They take me in. I remember getting booked, kind of booked in, whatever the hell, whatever that is, where they check you in, whatever, right? But they do that, and this is, I'm not going to say I haven't been to jail before. I've been to Key West jail one other time, and it was for misdemeanors, right? It was boat charges. It was nothing. I mean, I can't say it was nothing, but it was misdemeanors. But anyway, so thing is they take me right to the back, right? And they put down all these brown paper bags, and there's a bunch of guards around me, and they literally make me drop all my clothes right there on the bag, and they put me in the black and white stripes, and then they put me in chains head to toe. I mean, chains, chains. And they take me right to solitary, right? Now, again, I've been to jail before, right? Never for anything close to this. And the thing is and I've never had an experience like it, ever. But they take me there, they put me in solitary. And my mind is spinning. I can't even explain to you guys what it's like. It's like, I just didn't know. I was a normal guy a second ago, and now I'm sitting in a jail cell. And I'm, being put in chains, and man, everybody's, people are telling me I'm a murderer, and so I'm in there, and I'm in the solitary, and solitary is weird. It's 23.
Objection to the relevance of solitary.
Well, I'm just telling the story. I mean,
No,
look,
I
you can tell me where to stop if you want.
Well, I would sustain that objection.
Yeah, I mean, okay, and I'm not exactly sure what is relevant of anything. I'm just telling the story.
I understand, Mr. Tucker, but...
Anyway, so yeah, I go to jail, and, over the course of time, I mean, it's, I guess it's not really relevant as far as now. I meet my wife. I shouldn't say meet my wife. I've known her since we were kids, but she was the first person to contact me. She was the first person to contact me when I got there, and I think it was like day 7. And I was surprised. I was really surprised because we hadn't seen each other in 33 years, and I can't even tell you. But anyway, the thing is so yeah, she comes, and by this point, I still didn't have a lawyer. I was still in solitary. I still don't know why I'm there. I have no idea why I'm there, really. I mean, I know what they're saying. I don't know.
Objection, Judge, to this.
I just.
Okay.
We're rambling here. It's
Well,
not
I
relevant.
don't, rambling, but I'm not sure how much what we hear here is not relevant, so,
Would you like me to?
well, if we'd like a little direction, we can excuse the jurors, or,
Yeah, I'll take direction.
Okay, that's right. We'll keep going.
I'll take direction. I mean,
well,
it's like I just don't know what.
I understand.
Where you want me to
I'm
go?
just suggesting that it would be prudent, in my view, for just a moment or two to excuse the jurors, and we'll get back to you shortly.